All right, welcome in everybody. We have a special daytime episode. Daniel Ball is not with me, but it's all right. And we had to do a special episode because, man, we have something unique. We always have athletes on here, but we haven't had one that was just on a big time TV show. So with that, man, Matt Klotz, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to start this episode off by saying, I wore my Torchy's taco shirt. I need to know, like, did you have Torchy's a lot when you were in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, I actually had it when I was back in Baton Rouge like 2 weeks ago before the basketball game. I got some torchy tacos.
Yeah, I had me the Wranglers and I brought them up because I'm doing this. They're not even one of our sponsors. It's the guy was so nice to me. He gave me stuff for me and my kid. He gave me a bunch of free gift cards. We just sat there and talked because it wasn't a busy part of the day. And I told him good things come around in circle, right? And so I texted him earlier because he gave me his number and I said good things come around. I said you treated me so nicely that day, with not getting anything in return. But I said you're going to get something in return today. I said I got Matt from Big Brother coming on, and I said I'm going to promote you right out the gate. And he's
There we
like, for
go.
real,
There we
and
go.
full circle.
Goes
But
good, sir. Yeah.
let's start, man. Let's start with your nickname on this icebreaker. Matty Ice works perfect for an icebreaker question. It's hard for me because it's such a cool name, but as a Saints fan, Matt Ryan from the Atlanta Falcons carried that name. So it kind of doesn't sit well, but it doesn't matter how it sits with me. With you, how much do you love that nickname?
I love that nickname actually, and everyone calls me like now when I'm walking the streets. A lot of people are just like Matty Ice. So that nickname came from actually high school. I had my ears pierced and I had like diamond studs, and so my swim coach would always call me uh Matty Ice, and so that's like how it kind of started, and then I kind of just transferred over. He was my club coach in high school, but he actually came from LSU. He swam at LSU. He had records at LSU, and he was a coach here, and then he came to California to coach my club team.
Yeah, so speaking of on the ice, and I think of the earrings and I see the hair, when I pull up your LSU SI page, the dark hair throws me, bro. Like,
Yeah, I know. This is a really strange job. I know. I had short hair. Yeah.
short dark hair. I'm like, is that really him? Do I got the right page? That's
Yeah, you're
crazy.
like, this is the wrong person. This isn't Matty Ice.
So let me ask you, if you had your own talk show, your own podcast, it doesn't have to be sports, it could be anything. Who would you want to be your first guest?
Uh, I would probably either do my best friend Jack or Tyler Crispin.
Nice. Going with the friends. Is the friends shout out? Got to take care of them. Are they entertaining? That's the question. I mean, because in order for people to
They're
listen,
definitely entertaining. They're definitely entertaining. That's for sure.
all right. So being an athlete, got to know, man. Who was your favorite athlete growing up?
It kind of sounds biased, but I used to say like Michael Phelps and Ryan Lochte. I mean, were the stars of swimming. I think I looked up to Ryan Lochte a lot growing up. I was just a big fan of him. Um, I guess I'm following his footsteps in some ways because I raced against him, and then he also did Big Brother as well.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, that's the right answer. I mean, I wouldn't expect you to say anything else. Obviously, you could always say somebody from a different sport, but there's usually someone who inspires you within your own sport.
Right.
And then I got to use this opportunity. This was a shout out that was requested. So I got this ball this week. It finally came to me. It's real. People won't be able to see it real well, but it's the official College World Series ball from Omaha, to Jim from Brock Wilkin. And the reason I do it is Brock is became one of my tightest boys, Matt, through after having him on the show. And I told him I had you on today, and he literally wrote me Matty Ice in all caps. And he
I love
said,
that.
tell him that. And you're talking about a guy who was just drafted in the first round of the big leagues, got paid big money. And
Right.
he was fanboying you. He even told me to tell you Brock.Wilkin, follow him on Instagram. So go follow
Uh,
Brock after this. That's what's
I
crazy,
will. I
man.
will. I'll definitely hit him up.
I told you I got all these athletes that are like big fans of yours, and it's crazy because I know you're a fan, especially with the LSU athletes. We talked about the gymnasts and everything,
Uh-huh.
but let's get into your story, man. The things that people don't know. Where are you from?
Yeah, originally I like my whole life I grew up in Northern California, Cameron Park. It's kind of a small city. And we've lived there entire life. And I went to LSU 7 years ago. So then I've been living in Baton Rouge the last 7 years.
So hold on, before you
And
get too far into the LSU thing, let's talk
yeah,
let's talk Cali, let's talk growing up. Talk to me about family dynamics, man. Siblings, were your parents athletes? Because obviously, man, just looking at you, like, I don't know, there's got to be some genetics there, bro. Like that don't just you don't just grow on a tree
Family,
like that.
right? No, it's actually interesting because no one in my family is over 6 foot, and I'm the only one that's over 6 foot. I tower over my family. My sister swam at Bama, so we grew up swimming our whole lives. We did all sports. My dad played football all the way to college and then went Air Force, and then my mom was a cheerleader, so classic, cheerleader football player, high school, sweethearts, and then um, for me, I never did football, but I did almost every other sport. I think with football, I really did want to play, but that's a really hard sport with my disability because the hearing aids and like if I
Right.
take them off, I'm not gonna hear plays, I'm not gonna hear calls. Um, they break when they sweat, so I think swimming was just the best sport that stuck with me growing up because of just the whole hearing aid aspect.
Right. So let me ask you about the sister since you said she swam also. Was it one of those like was it more competitive or was it more iron sharpens iron? Y'all just helped make each other better.
She was always better than me. Not always, forever though. She made me just want to be better than her. Just because I just wanted to be the better sibling. She was the one that made like Olympic trials first. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna make it now. So I just keep pushing myself. She got to college, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to a better college than Bama, LSU.
That's wild. So neither parents were swimmers, but yet y'all both ended
Right.
up being elite swimmers. That's
A
crazy.
total different direction from our parents. I know, because usually you have a lot of swimmers, like their kids are swimmers. Yeah.
Yeah, there are guys that we have come on here, Matt, that make me so mad. I was not blessed in any way with genetic talent athletically from my family, and we'll have guys who come on here, and there'll be four brothers, and they all are playing pro baseball, and I'm like, yeah, I hate
Right.
y'all. Like, can y'all share something with the rest of the world type deal? But man, no, that's cool that y'all helped mold each other into being better.
Mhm.
Let's talk about growing up. Like, if I read a story correctly, is it true like for like the first 2 years, your parents weren't even aware that, you had this deaf problem?
Yeah, yeah. So back then, so I was born in 1996. So back then, they didn't have automatic screening for hearing, and so they just didn't know because it wasn't a genetic thing. So a lot of times with deafness and like hearing, hard of hearing, it's genetic. So there was none of that. So like when I have kids, they're not going to be deaf either because it's not genetic with me. Mine was random. So growing up, the first 2 years, I hadn't spoken a word yet. My parents would call me and like I would never look at them. They would tell me to do something. I would not respond. So they were kind of like questioning it. And so they took me in one day. And then they got the testing. They're like, oh, you should get him audio tests. And they found out, oh, he's deaf. You didn't know that. And like, I remember my mom just telling the story. She was just crying and she was just like, like I think it's hard for a parent to see that something your kid, I'm a baby at that time. She knows like, okay, he's gonna have this for life. And then, I think she was scared at first, but at the end of the day, I'm her son, and she was gonna support me no matter what. And she said, this isn't the worst thing in the world. Like, we're gonna help him get through this and all that. And I think for a lot of people, they learn sign language. But for me, that it wouldn't be the best thing for me in my world because I can still hear. And in the reality of the world, not everyone knows sign language. So we decided to take speech therapy. So I went to speech school. I took speech therapy for 14 years. So for a deaf person, I talk pretty well, very fluent. Um, and that was kind of like the sacrifice of growing up was I had to do so much extra work learning how to talk properly, speak properly, instead of doing sign language. Because if I did sign language, I would never learn to talk and I would only be able to communicate with other people that do sign language.
Right. And that was a question my wife wanted me to ask you because she just completed in one of her college courses. She went back to get her master's, but she completed her sign language class and she was curious, do you happen to know it at all? Like,
Like maybe 10 things. I'd never had the chance. I wanted to take it in college, but being a college athlete, you can't, you have so much to do and it wouldn't count towards any of my credits. So it's just like I'm already stacked with 5, 6 hours of practice and study hall hours and everything. I just didn't take that opportunity. But I do know like within these couple of years, I want to learn.
yeah. So,
Mhm.
with growing up, you're talking about taking the speech therapy when you're in school and everything, and reading these different things and seeing the things that I saw in the Big Brother house that we'll always talk about. Sometimes it still can be hard for you to hear. So how much did it hinder you, whether we're talking about growing up in school or even once you got to college?
No, absolutely hindered me a lot. I'm the person that tried to look half glass full in every aspect. But there were a lot of challenges, obviously social communication, making friends when I was younger was harder because I just was kind of embarrassed that I felt different.
Mm,
And so that was a really hard part about me growing up. In the classroom, I was just always behind because, I'm sitting in this classroom for a couple hours, but reality is I'm getting 25% of the information. So I'm not really even learning. It's like technically I'm wasting my time just sitting in a room because this isn't
mm,
the best environment for me to actually learn. Um, and that was like one of my big factors actually going to college was I needed the support, I needed the academic support, and LSU had a lot of disability services and academic and athletic support because I wanted to change that up because I didn't get a lot of that growing up. My mom was a teacher, so it helped a lot because she had a lot of connections to fight for me. But there was
mm,
a lot of like at one point, like not to throw anyone under the bus, like in my high school, they had made me give up my IE4, it's 504. It's for disabilities and stuff. And I had to give it up. And I was like apparently super illegal and like
mm.
could have sued for it. But for me, I was like, that's not a big deal. Like I've already had all these struggles growing up. So
Right. Um, so, talking about high school, your accolades were, man, and when I list off accolades, like it's obviously not just high school based, but it was when you were in that age, obviously high school All-American, team record holder, all league and section finalist for all 4 years, 4-year varsity letter winner, all city sports athlete award winner, school record holder in the 50 free, the 100 back, the 200 free, All-American in the 100 back. SVC League record holder in the 50 free and the 100 back, named the 2013 USA Deaf Sports Male Athlete of the Year, and won a pair of gold medals in the 100 and 200 meter backstrokes at the 2013 Deaf Olympics in Bulgaria. Hold 3 deaf world records in the 50, 100, and 200 back. 2013 USA Deaf Sports Federation USA Male Athlete of the Year. When I read those accolades back, some people say, talk to some of these athletes, they don't mean that much, man, but especially considering you had to go through the adversity you did, man. What does it mean when I read those accolades off?
I think you know more than me. I kind of forget those things. I think for me, in a humble way, like I'm always pushing for more. So like once I get an achievement, I move on to the next. I think a lot of that motivation came from just trying to prove everyone wrong because of the disability. So I always felt like I needed to do more. I forget like my first world record, deaf world record was when I was 17. But once I got that, I was like, no, I want more. I want the second one. I want the third one. Now I have five. I got my fifth one last year, right before the show. And no, not even last year. It was this summer. And I think for me, it's nice. But it's just, I guess, a title, and I'm just someone that always just wants the next one, next one, next one.
Bro, that pick you got, look, you're not the first athlete we've had. When we had the track star from Texas A&M, Kennedy Smith on, she had the picture where she had her arms extended out holding all her medals, but Matt, her arms aren't as long as yours, and you needed that extra arm length because the amount of medals you got, dude, that pick goes hard. You
Well,
may say you move on to the next one, but bro, your arms had to be weighed down by all, man.
when we took that picture, I think you saw that one, right? The one where it's like, excuse me. Um, my arms were hurting. Those medals are heavy. And I remember I had to hold that pose for like 5 minutes. And when I dropped it, I was in so much pain. I was like, I'm in shape, but like this is a shoulder workout. It was
Heavy
really
is the head
funny.
that wears the crown, bro. Like,
Was that? Yeah, yeah. You can't. It was cool doing that shot though. It was really exciting to do that one.
so you kind of spoke on it. I was going to ask, why you chose LSU. You talked about, the opportunities it provided for you. So outside of that, was like LSU just, was it one of your top schools anyway?
It was. So for me, my sister went to Bama, the SEC. She would come home for Christmas break, talk about the SEC. I was a junior at the time, and she just talked about how exciting it was being in the SEC, the football games, baseball games, just every sport, just the sport world of SEC goes crazy. I mean, I'm wearing the SEC shirt right now.
Right.
And I just was a big fan. Was looking at other schools outside of the SEC, but I was really driven by SEC because there was just so much academic support, so much athletic support. Just the overall package was had me sold. I was looking at Tennessee, Auburn, LSU, Texas A&M. so all around. But when I came to visit LSU, I loved the campus, I love the environment, I love the culture, I love the team. Um, and I get these questions and like, hey, if you ever could change your college, or like you could go back on it, would you? And I was like, no, like it's the people there at LSU are just different. The people in Baton Rouge, it's just the whole overall of it is like completed, and it sold me on going
Yeah,
here.
I mean, we've probably had, I'd say at this point, 40 athletes from about six different LSU sports. And the common term is they get made felt like family when they visit. Like, and that just speaks volumes to LSU because basically if you get an athlete on campus, they're going to make you feel like family. And it's really hard to not want to be a part of that. But
Right.
you go from Cali to Baton Rouge. I got to know, man, that I was stationed in California, obviously lived down in Louisiana. Like, it's a heck of a culture shock, man. What was that like for you?
Definitely. No, it was definitely a culture shock. There was a lot of things that were different. I liked it because it was a good learning experience, get outside the bubble I was in Northern California. It made me open my eyes and realize real world issues, real things that go on in the world. And honestly, the Southern hospitality so much better. Everyone is so like just sweet, respectful. And you don't see a lot of that in California. And I really like that about the South as
You
well.
can't just walk up to a tailgate and everybody will feed you, even if they don't know who you are, right?
Right, right. Yeah. No, yeah.
That's one of the first things I learned back in 2009 was my first LSU full football tailgating experience. And like I'm just walking by and I'm with my friend and there are people we know, but like we're getting offered in to step in and have food, have a drink at like every place. And it's like these people don't even know you, but it doesn't matter because you're wearing
Right.
LSU and you're there and you're
Yeah.
family.
No, yeah. And it was insane because like it was like that before. And then after the show, when I came back for the two last games, that was 100 times more wild. People were like screaming Matty Ice. And for me, it was all so new. So like, I was like, okay, we'd go to the parade ground and say, hey. And then I realized I made a mistake because I stayed there for like 3 hours. I couldn't escape. It was really cool seeing that, but it's like everyone was just inviting me to here, 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 and here. So like in general, the hospitality is always stellar.
Yeah, no doubt. So, keeping it 100 on here, obviously I told you you're the first swimmer. I don't know. You talked about the SEC, but I don't know how much about the competition level. Just how competitive is the SEC in swimming?
Oh, it's the best. It is hands down the best. We are the most stacked conference. We have literally the most Olympians, most world record holders, most medals in Olympics, everything. It is the most competitive conference. You've got Florida, you've got Tennessee, you've got every school, honestly. It is super hard. You don't just get to just be on the team. Like you
Right.
have to put in work. There's no other conference like this. I don't know the numbers and stuff. I mean, I've been a couple of years out of college, but every year we have like the top 8 SEC schools are in the top 25 in the whole
Right.
country. Yeah.
So you knew when you were going there what you were going up against, and so that's what I wanted to ask you. Obviously, don't want to take the time to read through all your accolades over the 4 years. We'll be here all day, but Saul, obviously you had some good performances. You had some ups and downs, but I think that came with how hard you, like you said, what you were going against. So my question for you would be, did you meet the expectations you put before yourself going to LSU and competing in such a hard conference?
For me, I'm much of a long course swimmer, and in college swimming is short course, so the pool's a lot smaller. Um, and I do the Olympic training pool, which is long course, and I would say short course, I didn't meet it so much, but long course, I definitely did. Long course was 2019 Nationals was one of my best meets. That was when I beat Ryan Lochte,
Hmm.
my role model, and it's crazy to look back at it and it's like, wow, now I'm at that level. So I was really good long course swimming, but my chief it's weird because like I was sixth in the country for USA
Hmm.
at nationals, and then at like SSCs, I made like the B final and got like 14th. But like
Right.
that is so much harder because it's a different kind of not a different sport, but it's just a different swimming style.
So were you able to win like the swimming races across that tiny pool in the Big Brother house? Like, I mean,
Oh yeah, I mean I got them all there, but I could not even swim in that pool. I mean, my hands touched the bottom of the pool every time I took a stroke. It's 2 strokes to the other side of the pool. Yeah, it was.
I promise you, I thought that a million times. I thought, man, that's got to really kill him to have that little baby pool out there.
Oh yeah, yeah. That pool was tiny.
So I got one more LSU question before we move on to Big Brother.
Okay.
2019, you got to be there. LSU football, the greatest team to ever touch. No one can convince me otherwise. My boy Joey B. You talk about going to the games, and you talk about that's part of the LSU culture, right? Was going to other sporting events. Dude, just how amazing was that year, and just being able to be there for that team.
It was so awesome. There was so much hype with that. And, that was going my senior year. And that was such a cool, like, kind of going into the ending of my college career. It was cool having that experience. The hype with football was insane. And what was really cool was it was in NOLA. So we didn't go to the game, but we went to NOLA, Bourbon Street, and all that. And it was insane. One of my best memories. And I think it's just cool because out of the you only get college for 4 years, and you know how hard it is for a team to win a national champ, and we got that, and it was perfect because it was right before COVID, and had
Mhm.
that happen, then there would have been no natty champ, and let alone that was the best team. Like I may be biased because we're LSU, but that was the best team college has ever seen.
No,
Like
it is the numbers stack up and say it
right,
the opponents that they had to beat throughout the year and the way they
yeah, they had a
beat
hard
them.
schedule too.
Yeah, so it's no doubt. I was fortunate enough to go to 4 games in Baton Rouge that year and get to see a lot of it. I actually was offered to go to the national championship. My buddy had a ticket, but here's the thing,
Oh,
man. When you're married and your wife does something like plan a massive watch party for you, you can't just say, "Hey, honey, I'm leaving."
right. That was not
That's not
go
going to
well.
work well. So I had some friends who were like, "Bro, I would have gone," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, you wouldn't. If your wife did that for you, you absolutely wouldn't." And so ended up getting to watch it with all my people, and no different than you did in NOLA. I will tell you this: I sent you that picture of interviewing Joey B and Chase. A fun story that most people don't know, and I figure I'll tell it right here. So I'm working out in Baton Rouge. I've done taking my pre-workout, dude. I'm in the gym. I'm like 20 minutes into a pump, and I get a call that says, "How fast can you be in front of a computer?" And I'm like 5 minutes from where I'm staying. Why? They're like, "I got you media access for Super Bowl media days. You're going to talk to Joey B and Jamar Chase." Okay, so these are my favorite athletes,
Right.
and I'm caught off guard. I have my pre-workout in my system. I'm already sweating. And so here I am. I got to get set up in front of a computer. Like I get set up on waiting. And it's not just nerves, but it's the pre-workout and the pump. Like my heart is beating out of my chest. And like I'm trying not to be sweating when this dude sees me. I'm like, I don't want him to think like
I
I'm
think
that freaked out about interviewing him. But it's like it's a combination of the whole thing, but nailed my couple questions for both of
yeah.
them, and it was like good to go. But like it was the funniest moment. Like I swear to God, I was sweating so hard and my heart was beating so much. Like it was crazy. And then I couldn't even go back to work out after that. I was like I was all frantic.
You're on a head high. Yeah.
But let's get into Big Brother, man. I know a lot of people want to hear that, but I told you before this show, it was important that we got the foundation of your story, where you're from, your family, and obviously your achievements as a swimmer. But to be a well-accomplished athlete, obviously you still had some competitive drive in you because you applied for this show. What made you want to be on Big Brother?
For Big Brother, it was actually 3 years. They reached out to me in 2020, but it was very late in the process. And then they had like the all stars and the celebrities, so there was that gap. And then they reached out again for this year, and I was just a super fan because like I'm not a super fan. Like actually, like the people that watch every season, I was a big fan of it and the concept of it when I found out about it. I watched Tyler's season, which is season 20, and I fell in love with Tyler. And I was kind of like, oh, and a lot of people were like, you play like him, and he did so well in there. And it's kind of funny because we got the same placement, everything.
Right.
Um, and I think for me, it was never about the fame or the money. It was always about advocating for the deaf community and the
Mhm.
disabled community. And that was such a good platform for it because I know it's so underrepresented in the reality world.
Mhm.
Um, and I was the first contestant that was deaf on that show in 25 years. They've never had a deaf contestant. So like that was a really cool weight to carry, I would say, because
Mhm.
I'm like, what they call the pilot, like I helped them learn a lot, and I learned a lot with them. It was a really cool learning experience going through that for the first time and being the person to do that for them.
Yeah, no, that's something that's happened on these seasons is because you are in such close proximity and you can't go anywhere that you learn stuff. It's no different than, your boy Jag learning so much about him, everybody in that house and me myself, getting to learn about his culture and where he
Yeah.
comes from. So yeah, Big Brother for the negative parts it has with obviously all the arguing and fighting and drama,
Right.
it does spotlight a lot of things that people don't know about. What was it like? So I guess this question kind of got thrown because you said you found out in 2020, but I mean, what was it like, when you found out that you knew you were going to go in that house?
It was actually interesting. I was at World Trials in this summer. I was at World Trials and I got a call and they said, "Congratulations, you're in the top 25." And usually when you get that top 25, that kind of means yes, but it's all very confidential. You can't be telling people that you're about to go on a show, all that, because they want the cast members secret and everything. So like I couldn't really tell anyone. But like of course I'm at World Trials
Hmm.
swimming, but I'm like way more excited about this because I like getting this call and I'm like, this is so freaking exciting. Because it was a long process. It was 3 months. I mean, there was 3 months, bunch of interviews, a bunch of final rounds I had to go through, and just to hear that, like, it all kind of paid off, and it's going to be an exciting summer. I was really excited hearing about that.
Yeah, no doubt. So I got to open with this question because I told you, I've been promoting that you were coming on, and um, I've had every single girl that I know that is single message me and ask about Riley, man. Uh, like, is that a thing or not? Because if it is, like, there's gonna be a lot of disappointed girls out there.
So yeah, obviously in the show, me and Riley had a very good relationship. For me, it was a strong relationship because she was someone that actually helped me a lot in the beginning of the game because I was actually struggling in the game because I the social game was a little hard for me in the beginning. Just because no one really understood how to work with a deaf person. A lot of them never been around a deaf person, and so Riley and I communicated a lot. Like we stay up 4 a.m. at night talking about the game, catching up. What's everyone's motives? What's everyone plan? Who's working with who? And that jeopardized her game a lot just for going out of her way. Um, and that was kind of like the special moment I had because I had someone that was going, out of their way for a personal reason rather than game. Like she knew that was going to jeopardize her game. But that's that.
Mhm.
We are dating. We had a talk, after the show, and I just told her like I'm not looking for that. So I am single.
Yeah, yeah. Matty Ice has got to be available. He's just coming off the show. He's got to be out there, especially got the spotlight. No, I'll tell you that's cool that you gave her that shout out because we talked about before you came on here what they show and don't show because you haven't got to watch it back. They definitely didn't show that aspect of how much she helped you. So shout out to her
Yeah,
for doing
yeah.
that. So, being a competitive athlete like you are, somebody who's used to competing at a high level, did you feel like you were going to have, obviously you talked about the social aspect and how that was going to go against you, but when you talk about competitions and just, overall competitive drive, did you think you were going to have an advantage when you went in there?
Yes and no. I think almost more disadvantages to be honest, because I won the first comp the first day, and boom, right away, target on my back. Heisem was very against me. He did not like that he got beat. He's a very competitive guy, and I don't know what they show on the show and stuff, but he was like, he's a freaking Olympic athlete. We have to get him out. He's gonna win the whole thing. And then when I'm hearing that, I'm like, oh gosh, like I'm already a target just because I won one competition and I already have all these accomplishments behind my back. So I realized I have to start throwing comps, and that's what I did. And I hate that because I'm
Mhm.
competitive, hate losing. Um, and I just knew I had to play the game. So I was like, okay, I'm the social player now. I'm not the competitive player that everyone thinks I am. So I started throwing comps, and that worked in my favor. I started playing social. Um, there were so many comps I wanted to just do my
Right.
best and just show up everyone, but I
Well, I'm
couldn't.
glad to hear you say that because there was a lot of times I was like, because obviously I was rooting for you from the beginning before I even got to really know your personality, just because you were an LSU guy. And then I'm
Right.
sitting there like, bro, like win a comp. Like, you like you said, you won that NIT.
I know.
After
And I
that,
saw a
it's
lot of
like,
people like, why has Matt not won a comp? He's a freaking athlete. And I was like, no, there's a reason why. And I can't talk about that, like I can't tell people in the house gets I'm throwing comps because they're like, okay, why would I work with you? So like just in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm throwing this comp. Yeah, I'm throwing this one too. It sucks. I just wanted to compete so much, but I knew that was not good. I had to push my ego and I couldn't be cocky. I had to push my pride and ego to the side and
mm.
let someone else have that pleasure, and then that person got booted.
Yeah, and so I'm going to talk about the Minutemen, but it'll kind of segue the two things we're talking about. I've only seen one player that I can think of, and I was a huge fan of the Brigade, and
Uh-huh.
Hayden is the only person I can remember that came out winning all the comps and actually made it and won at the end. Because usually the comp beast never makes it. Like you said, they put that target on their back. A lot of times they don't even make it halfway, right? Become a big target, and of course part of the reason was this because they built such a successful alliance with the brigade that
Yeah.
with that target. And obviously a huge fan of the Hitman, which is really what you and Jag kind of mirrored. I'd say the only difference is y'all were kind of out in the open the whole time, whereas Derek really really laid low, which is why people consider him maybe the best player
Mm-hmm.
to ever played. But the way y'all played, I gotta know, man, like you make an alliance on day one, similar to both of those, but like, did you really think like, man, me and this guy are going to the end?
No, I think for me, I never wanted to assume that because I know how fast this game changes, and literally every day it changes. The boats flip, the direction goes everywhere. So I needed to be adaptable. I needed to be able to work with anyone. I needed to think I could be final two with anyone. Uh, I think when I obviously week 4 when I had the secret superpower and I saved Jag, that's when I realized, okay, maybe I can get far with him. That was a strategy because I was like, okay, I just got probably guaranteed a final two with him now because he is
Mm-hmm.
not take anyone else over me because I literally saved this game. So that was a strategy part for me. But day one, no, actually, day one, I thought Jag and Riley would be final twos. One thing I did in this house was never made, besides Jag, was never made a final two promise. Oh, everyone had final two promises.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that because I was like, okay, that's going to cost me jury votes in the end. Because if I vote someone that I had a final two with, they're not going to vote for
Well, you
me.
said you and Tyler were the same, but Tyler promised everybody in the house final two.
Yeah, I know. And for me, I couldn't do that because I wanted my promises to mean something in the game because I thought honesty and integrity meant a lot. And so I was very careful with my promises. Like, I think for me, I was like, oh, yeah, I would love to see us in the final two. That's not me making a promise. If I'm promising, I'm saying, I promise I'm taking you to the final two. And that
Yeah.
was the one promise I made with Jag.
Yeah, and I think, look, it's funny when he wins in the end. I have numerous people tell me, "Well, I bet he regrets saving him," and I'm like, "No, not at all," because Matt never makes the final two if he doesn't save Jag, because
Right.
Matt and Jag worked together through the whole back half while they were targets to keep each other alive. Y'all were
Yeah.
winning everything, so he wins what, like 4 HOHs down the stretch. If he doesn't
Right.
win those,
That's 4 free weeks. I'm safe.
right. And so, yeah, if you don't save him, you don't get to where you're at. So, there definitely can't be any regrets in that department. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people ask that question because they're like, oh, I bet you regret saving him. I'm like, no, because like we literally just carved the path to the end together. And I protected him. He protected me. We brought in Bowie. So Bowie's the only third person that won the HOHs when we didn't. And that made it so perfect for us in this game.
yeah, and the way they try to build the drama on the show, they really wanted to keep making us believe that like he was going to cut you out at some point. But it was like you said, like after you had saved him and the relationship I had, I just couldn't see it. Like I didn't ever believe it would happen, and it didn't happen. And so but they
Right.
but they
Right.
gotta they gotta build the drama for those watching at
Gotta
home.
have drama to make it the show exciting.
So, I've talked to you for a few weeks now, and I said the reason you were my favorite player wasn't just that you were repping LSU. You're a rare gem in a game where a lot of people don't have any integrity, don't have any loyalty, and you had both. Man, talk about how proud your friends and family were when you came back to see that, you represented and didn't waver from who you really are.
Yeah. I think it was really good hearing that. And being outside the house, not even just from my friends and family, like the fans too. Just everyone, obviously everyone's like, you should have won, you should have won. But everyone just said like the game, they said like you played a beautiful game. Like a lot of people don't see that, especially in a game show like this. It's all about backstabbing and lying, and
Mhm.
just prove that you can still play this game being loyal and being honest and have integrity. And I think that was the coolest thing about it was we just did it. The last time that happened, probably season 16, and that was a really cool thing to show
Mhm.
because maybe now in the future we may see people being able to play this game with loyal integrity.
The problem is, there may be people who have great intentions of doing that, and then you have the people who don't play like that and rub you the wrong way and bring out the worst version of you. So,
Right, right.
so luckily you avoid that. But with that, the one like kind of dramatic question I will ask, what would you say was, the hardest moment in the house for you when it came to all that? Where like, I mean, to really be yourself and make it through something.
I think the hardest moment of this game would definitely just be it's a house full of whisper. You know, like I had a huge disadvantage in this house of being not able to hear a lot of the comments that happen, and it's a game of social, and like that's a huge aspect, and that was really hard for me in the beginning, but I knew I had to find ways to make it work because that's how I've been growing up my entire life. I have to find ways to make it work and move forward, and that's what I did in Big Brother. But it was a huge challenge because there were just so many times where I was just like, I don't know what direction this game is going. I don't know who's really working with who. We're in conversations, having secrets and sharing information, but we're all whispering in a room. There's four of us. I'm like, dude, I don't know what's going on. And
Right.
like, what if I go out of that room, go talk to other people, and then I just expose them, and I didn't realize that? Like, I had to be very careful the way I talked because I didn't want to hear information. And then it said, "Oh, by the way, don't tell anyone." I don't hear that part. I go tell other people, and they're like, "Matt, we just said don't tell anyone." I'm like, "Well, I didn't hear that part." Like I had to be very careful with my communication skills with everyone in the house because I didn't want to expose myself or anyone else.
Yeah, what trips me out is me and you were talking before the show about watching Survivor, and in Big Brother and Survivor both, though, it has. I never understand where somebody will tell somebody something and say, "Hey, this is just between me and you," and they're like, "Yeah, yeah," and then like they turn around and go tell somebody 5 minutes later, and it's like, my
Right.
God, like keep a secret.
Right, right. I did that a lot, but same time I did, expose little people sometimes. Like I would tell not everything, but I would use those piece of information to tell people to paint targets on their back and keep it off me and Jag. And that was kind of like, well, good because everyone knew I was that honest, loyal guy. So
Hmm.
my word was going to get believed a lot most of the time. And so that was my advantage, which is I was portrayed as very honest and true to myself. People are going to listen to me over someone else that's probably lying all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the relationship that fascinated me the most, I'm a mama's boy. So seeing your relationship with Mama C, just how important was that relationship, in the game? And then, is it something that's going to carry over? Are you get invited to Christmas as like, her adopted son?
Yeah, no, I love Suri so much. It's been an honor playing a game with her. I was a big fan of Survivor, and when I saw her the first, I was like, I recognize you, like you're Suri. Because I remember just watching her on TV, and it's crazy that I'm playing this game with her. In the beginning, I was hesitant because there was obviously a split from the older people and the younger people in the house, but I really did want to get close with her, and I did that. That was my best decision because she is a legend in reality TV. She won Traders last year, I believe.
Mhm.
She knows how to play this game. I want to work with her because she's going to help my game a lot. I get on her good side, she's going to carry me.
Mhm.
And that's what we had. But also, just not even game wise, we had so many good one on one conversations. She'd always say, I'll be like her son. Little did I know her son was actually in the show. And it was funny because I saw this clip and I'm talking, Suri and Felicia are complimenting me and Jared about the house. So they're like, you and Jared are the most respectful guys in the house. You take the trash anytime. Like they would try to take the trash out. Me and Jared would be like, no, we got it. We got it. Like we would always help out the mamas. And they were saying that. And I was talking to Suri and I was like, yeah, like I think me and Jared are kind of just like the way we were raised. I said, like, I obviously know Jared loves his mom. I can tell the way he treats you guys. Like you guys are the mamas in the house. And I was like complimenting Jared to Suri, and I had no idea it was actually complimenting about her son. So it was kind of cool seeing that.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think ultimately, she could have had a chance of winning. There was two things because you were talking about the older side of the house. Heisem's decision to just, become a dictator really messed up what they had going on that side.
Mm,
And then also her trying to protect her son who's on the opposite side. And, obviously he got into a lot of different things. And so for her to make it as far as she did, especially having to deal with both those things.
yeah.
But hearing her comments in the diary room and how she was playing, she played really well, and I think down the stretch her key strategy was going to be with you. She was really hoping that she could
Um,
find a way that y'all would be the final
yeah.
two
And
together.
my goal was never to take her out, and it sucks to happen in my HOH. So people think I got rid of her, but I was like, I didn't get rid of her. Like I didn't vote her out. She was supposed to be the pawn, and that was the one move that Jag had over me. Everything else I had complete adaptability to and control, but the one move I couldn't control was when they switched it to Suri, and I was like, damn, I just lost this one.
Yeah, I told you that Big Brother did a very good job of portraying you in a good light. They showed that way. I mean,
Yeah,
it showed every session where you were talking about you didn't want her to go
yeah,
and Jag wanted it the other way. And
yeah.
rightfully so. That's a smart move for him. Even though you are working together,
Because she was
he
gonna
knows
take
that's your other one.
it.
Yeah.
And
So
he knew that because I was just so well connected, and that's what gets scary at the end because like I had five people left, and everyone is coming up to me saying, "You're going to win this game. You are playing the best social game." I'm like, crap. That's such a compliment, but it's such a threat too because I'm like, that
mm,
means you don't want to be there with me. So it was like, who am I going to trust the most? Suri, Jag, Bowie, Felicia, and it was ultimately Jag because Jag, I had that one up on him. I had
mm,
saved his game, so he kind of had like owe me the favor. So
mm,
I had that risk because like one of my biggest decisions with the game was putting up those two people.
mm.
I was HOH. If I put Jag and Bowie up, and then one of them wins veto, which Jag actually wins the veto, then he comes down. Bowie goes home. Jag wins next HOH. I'm on the block. And
Right.
like, why would I put the people winning comps up when I can't play the next week? So I had to put the mamas up to
Yeah, no,
for
you did it. You did it right, and unfortunately,
yeah,
he did it right.
right.
For how it played, it's one of those things. I will ask. This wasn't actually on my notes, but like if you and Mama C had to go to, or if y'all went to the final two together, her being a legend, her being someone who's older, and that they never make it.
Yeah.
Do you think you would have beat her? I don't. That was a tougher one for me. I don't know if you would or not.
I agree. I think it's a tough one because it can go either way. It's so hard because you don't know the way the jury is going to vote. And with Sari, she was playing an incredible social game, and so was I. I was playing a better competitive game than her because she didn't win any comps, but she's also been in final two. How many times? She's
Mm,
won Trader. She's been in final twos on Survivor. She knows how to do speeches. I'm not very good at public speaking. So I'm like,
yeah.
if I go against this legend, I might get cooked. Um, so I don't really know what that.
Most people feel that's actually the reason, and I don't know that for a fact. You obviously have talked to them. Most people feel that's actually the reason why you lost. Not just necessarily because you weren't good at it, but Jag was really good at it.
Yeah,
And you said you watched Survivor, Big Brother Survivor. That if there's anything they got the same, it's that final time you get to talk to the jury. If you
yeah.
can pitch it and nail it, like it's really hard to get past that.
Right. And for me, I'm not, it's always gonna be hard. Just because I can't hear on the spot and I can't, it's live. It's so nerve-wracking. And for me, I'm not saying it in a cocky way, but I felt pretty good in my spot. And I was like, okay, they already know I'm playing a very great social game. I saw the clips where they were talking about like Corey was all about me. He was
Mm.
like Matt's playing the best game and all that, and it's flips, obviously, but like I wasn't gonna lie, but like I was just such an athlete. So like when I went up to speak about what I did, it was okay. We played as together. I'm not gonna be the dickhead and be like I
Yeah,
did everything.
I would have just said,
I,
look, he wouldn't even be in this game if it wasn't for me, and sit back down.
right. And I went first, so like that kind of screwed me a little bit because I was like, okay, me and Jag made a promise to each other actually, and I said I'm not gonna be anti Jag, I'm gonna be pro Matt, and he said the same. And we made a joke about this last week when we were in Canada, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I was fully prepared," and I was like, "I know," but we made that promise, and I went first in the speech, so I never put him down. And then when he went second, I was like, "Oh crap," you know.
I saw that picture of y'all in Canada. Okay, somewhere along the line, I missed this. I watched every episode of Big Brother. If he talks about it, I don't know how I missed it. I didn't know he was a twin.
Yeah, they're not twins. I think they're a year apart.
Well,
His
they
brother,
look like twins.
they look like twins. I know because it's funny because when I see them together every time they wear a different color turban, and that's the only way you can tell the difference. um, and they're so similar. They are the same person. And I think I'm not completely sure, but they were supposed to be an 18th house guest, and Jazz was supposed to be in the show.
Ah,
Um, and there was like that rumor going around. I think that was probably true. So they were like, I think that would have probably been bad for Jags game, to be honest, because people
yeah.
would have been like, oh, there's a brother duo, get them out right away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, obviously second, you want to be a winner. I feel like second in light of everything, definitely something to hold your head high, especially because you played a game of integrity. But,
Mm,
I really would have liked to have seen you won America's favorite player. How surprised were you that I mean, and it's going to sound arrogant if you say I thought I was going to win, but
right.
you were who you were and did not do people wrong like other people and cause fights and all that stuff. So I mean, you had to have felt confident. How surprised were you that you didn't win America's Player?
For me, it actually started from the beginning. When they voted again in the superpower, I was very surprised I got the top four America's favorite because I was like, I haven't really made any moves in this house. I'm playing safe. I'm probably a really boring player right now. And I found out I was one of the top four, and I was like really exciting to hear that. I was like, this is awesome. And then because I got that, it was me, Serene, Jag, and we were still at the end. I figured because I'm on the show 100 days, I'm probably still going to be up there with America's favorite because they're still seeing me every day. Um, I mean, it's hard because I don't know how I'm being portrayed. I don't know how the cameras look. So I don't know what the outside world is thinking of me at all. So I have no idea where the America's favorite would go. When they said it was between Suri, Cameron, and me, I figured it was going to be between me and Suri because Suri
Mm.
has a lot of fans already. And for me, I'm new to this world. Um, and I figured I would probably get a lot of fans because of my athletics, like all the athletes, rooting for
Mhm.
me, LSU rooting for me. Just
They had the LSU groups on Facebook and Twitter. They were putting to vote for you. I thought it was cool, man. As somebody who's an LSU fan, like and you find out, you talk about finding out stuff. You find out how many people watch Big Brother that you didn't like know. Like sometimes, a lot of times, I feel like only like me and a few people, select people that I know, watch it, and then I find out like hundreds of people I know watch it.
right, because you just don't randomly talk about Big Brother if you just don't know anyone. But when you're like, wait, we know this person, then everyone's like, wait, you watch too. It's just funny hearing because like a lot of my friends or like a lot of people are like, my parents have watched that forever. And so like they're taking a picture and like, let me send a picture of you to my family and my mom. She's gonna die.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
it's
it's no different than I told you. So I obviously started this show with Brock Wilkin. I told him that I was interviewing you today, and I told you he wrote, Matty Ice in all caps. And then I told you I was talking to the Alabama gymnast, who is a superstar in her own right. And she's like, "Oh, I got to meet him when he comes." And it's like he was my fan. Her little words were, "He was my favorite player I've ever seen on Big Brother." She's watched it
uh,
every season, and so like you see everybody watches it, and then you said how you were portrayed. I mean, I've had athletes from 12 different schools, Matt, man, like no joke, say you were fair play. So it's not even just an LSU thing. I think they portrayed you right. They didn't do anything right. At the end of the day, you may have not got, the 750K. But I think more important in life is people knowing who you are and your character. And like you said, you were there to bring a spotlight to your disability. So I would say, you won in the end. Like,
yeah,
ultimately you
yeah,
accomplished your goal.
I've got so much love and support. Like my DMs are just not in that kind of way, but they're just getting flooded, and it's just all love and support. People just saying I'm been their favorite. This is just my story, just representing the disability community. It's just been wild, and it's been amazing. So it's really cool seeing that I represented well, and it's like nice to kind of give back. Like I represented LSU well. I represented the disabled community. I didn't make because it's hard when you're representing people. If
Mhm.
I did something really bad, then it kind of reflects negatively on the school or something. So it's good to hear that everything was so positive.
Yeah, that's like each season. So we've had 8 seasons on and off the bench. We have a character award, and it's for the best character of that season, the guest we have. But so, like for instance, this past season we had 42 guests, but I go ahead and narrow it to 9 for people to vote on because I make sure that the people that they're going to get voted for, their characters sharp. Like I've done all the study on them. I've talked to people because I don't want somebody getting that, and then that's a representation of who we gave as a character, and then they're not somebody that represents great character. So I kind of go ahead and make sure that everybody's off on the right foot. But
Mhm.
let me ask you this. I got two more questions, and then we'll play our game of this or that. We play for every guest. If they asked you to come back and play again, would you?
I get asked that a lot. Yes, I would play again. The game is so fun. The one thing that sucks is the 100 days.
Mm,
Sorry, it's like 115 days because I went 15 days in sequester right before it. And it's just so long. It's a third of the year. And I'm so fresh out of it. So maybe there's like next year, I'll be ready again. But
yeah,
like right now, oh, I do not want to go back in a house and be locked down.
yeah.
I think if I did it, I would come play. I've already done it. So I think this time around, I would play super competitive. I'm not throwing the comms. I'm just gonna go out there. I'm gonna just show them, okay, I can play these comms. I was doing it all along. And if
Mm.
I get taken out, I get taken out. I don't have to stay
I was
stuck
tr-
in
I
this
was trying
house.
to think because I was thinking Survivor. I know Malcolm, which is even worse to play Survivor back to back. He played back to back. Has a Big Brother player played back to back? I'm sure there has. I've just not been able to think of it right off the top.
Probably because like think about the season before, and then all of a sudden they have a heroes versus villains, and like people from
But to
that.
your point, I would need a break. Like I couldn't do it back to. I got to get my sanity back first.
It's so long. It's a third of a year, and then like for Survivor, it's 26 days now, but
Well,
originally
that's
30.
why it was a surprise that Malcolm did because he was already looking malnourished as it was, and like so to have to do that again, like I know my dude was like struggling hard.
Right, right.
So last question, like I said, then we'll get to the game. You moved to Dallas, Texas, first, why Dallas? And then second, please tell me you're not going to become a Cowboys fan.
First question, why Dallas, and then what was the second one?
Please tell me you're not going to become a Cowboys fan.
So Dallas, I'm with my best friend. We've always talked about living together after college and all that, and now I have the opportunity to do that. I think Dallas has a lot of opportunities for me out here. So a lot of connections and stuff. And for me, I've been in Baton Rouge for 7 years. I love it so much, but for me, it's like I need to go to somewhere else. I was in California my whole life, in Baton Rouge my whole life, and now I need to start somewhere else new. And I think Dallas is a very perfect spot for me. There's a lot of LSU alumni that are in Texas, Houston, Austin, and Dallas. There's a lot in Dallas. Friends that I've been with in college, and it's cool to be around that. And that was my biggest move. The reason why to be here because that's just a really good decision for me to do. Cowboys fan. Uh,
Don't
I
do
haven't been
it.
a Cowboys fan. I haven't been to a Cowboys game yet, so I can't say I'm a fan. So, but I think I'm gonna have to be a fan because Jack is a big fan.
Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that, man. You're gonna lose fans of you right now because can't do it. No, we'll move on now because of that. But we play a game called this or that with every single guest. It's as simple as it sounds. I give you two options. You pick one or the other. You can't say neither. You can't say both. You down to play?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, so this episode, this game of this or that is brought to you by Memphis City Designs. We have 6 different athletes right now that are currently sponsored by Memphis City. If you want to check out their gear from Swamper and Forgiving Gifts and all those, we have those out there. Also, you can get your in off the bench hoodies in whatever school color that you want. Also, want to shout out Chinook Seedery, best season of the game, 8 flavors from mild to wild. And then lastly, TLCVIP.com. We're changing the game through NIL. We have over 100 of our in off the bench guests on there, so check that out. But let's get into the game, Matt. PlayStation or Xbox?
Xbox all the way.
What is your favorite game?
Uh, I don't play much, but I actually love playing Fortnite.
Ooh, hey, we got a lot. That is the baseball player's favorite game. They claim
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I told them I'm gonna like because you do that like Twitch streaming or whatever. Like
Yeah.
all these guys come on and talk about they're the best, and like we're gonna find out. Like y'all already got to find out on the diamond who's the best. I'm
Fun.
putting y'all like we're doing a tourney. Like we're gonna put it together, see who's
He
the
was
best
actually
for
good at
real.
the game.
All right, food in Cali or food in Louisiana?
Food in Louisiana.
All right, I would have cut this show off. You said the other. What's your favorite thing that you can get in Louisiana you can't get anywhere else?
Probably crawfish. Just like seasoning and everything's just so different. And yeah, Louisiana. Like I never ate that at all in California.
All right, so we brought up Survivor, and I'm glad we talked about it as much as we did because I had this question in there. If you and Jag played in Survivor, who would last longer?
Hmm. Honestly, I think I would because the social game. Hmm.
That and don't hold back on that. Like, hey, when you start out with your tribe, and you don't want to be the guy voted out because you lost you lost the competition, so you go out
No,
there and
no,
be the
with
guy who
Survivor, I
wins
would
it.
be able to play more physical because then you help your team get far. You're gonna be like, okay, we need him. We can't get him rid of him because then we're not gonna get the rewards. We're not gonna get the idol and like not the idol, the immunity. Yeah.
Yeah, I if I could talk to Jeff, like this season has worked out amazing, but that first Lulu tribe that he put together, he didn't put any real athletes on there but Caleb, and that poor guy could not carry the load by himself. Like you
I would
can't
say his
only
back hurts.
yeah, like I mean they lost the first four. They ended up having to merge like immediately because that tribe got dismantled because he got put with nobody competitive. Like poor guy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so, would you rather own a massive yacht or a private jet?
I would say I would say private jet, just of all the traveling I'm doing right now. Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed, man. I figured you to be on the water.
I would, but I don't need a yacht. I can swim if I want.
I heard that. All right. So you saw the videos. I was with the gymnastics girls. I was swinging on the bars. I was playing on the beam. I ask you, as somebody who's athletic, if you had to do one of those competitions, if you had to get out there, which one would you rather do, the balance beam or the bars?
I would do I'd be biased. I would say balance beam because it looks easier, but we actually had a balance beam in the first competition. I kind of sucked on that one.
Oh yeah, I got it. All right. So last question for you, Matt. If you could choose between winning a national championship for LSU or winning Big Brother and the prize money, which one would you choose?
That's good. That's good. Oh man, I think because my whole life I've been an athlete, winning a national championship for LSU, uh, because that's such an accomplishment. That's such a title. You only get 4 years to do that. Big Brother, you can have unlimited years to do it,
Right.
and I think, yeah, getting a national title for LSU, I would say that would be more important.
We had Paul Skeens come back on here a second time because he came on before the season. We had him after, and he looked at us dead in the eye and said, and the way we formatted the question for him was you could keep the $10 million he basically just got on a signing bonus, but you had to lose the national championship, or you can get not have any of that money or the first pick, but you got to keep your national championship. And he said, "Give me the national championship."
Yeah,
And I was like, if a guy like that tells me he would rather have the championship over the money because he actually has both, that tells me a lot about winning that championship.
yeah.
All right. Well, with that, man, that concludes the show. Give us anything you want to plug or promote. Like I obviously know you probably got a lot out there, especially is there any organizations you're working with for the deaf community?
Not right now. It's been kind of slow just because everything's been so overwhelming. I've been traveling around right now, doing a bunch of stuff, but there are a lot of opportunities right now that I'm working with, but nothing solid right now. But yeah, that's
Where can
that.
they find you on IG at?
What's that?
Where can they find you on IG at?
It's Matt __ KZ.
There you go. So go follow Matt, see what he's got going on. If you follow him right now, keep up with his story. My dude is on the move everywhere. You can find him in Cali, you can find him in Canada, you can find him in Dallas. Who knows? He'll be back in Baton Rouge, I'm sure, here soon.
Totally.
But we appreciate having you on today, Matt. If you like hearing Matt's story or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please like and share on Facebook. Retweet us on Twitter. Listen and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. We will be back December 27th. That's right. We're taking a break. We'll be back with season 9, where we'll be talking Alabama gymnastics with Luisa Blanco. But in the meantime, remember, strong bodies, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We are out.